Hi everyone, my name is Louise from Thrive Nutrition and Fitness. I'm a dietitian and a diabetes educator, and this is a series on type 1 diabetes, a bit of an introduction course to the condition. Today we're moving into the dietary management of type 1 diabetes. There are two main points I'd like to make about the dietary management of type 1 diabetes. The first point is that the eating is not as restricted as most people believe. The body of someone living with type 1 diabetes has the same nutritional requirements as the body of someone without it. So we need the same amount of protein, the same amount of fat, carbohydrate, and total energy as someone without this condition. So you can and should eat a variety of foods, and there is no need to restrict anything from your diet. The second point that I'd like to make is that it is very, very important to understand carbohydrates, to learn where they are and to learn what they do to the body so that we can manage the blood glucose effectively. That being said, it is important, perhaps a little bit more important, for someone with type 1 diabetes to follow the general, prudent dietary guidelines for people of their similar age group and development stage. We'll cover carbohydrate counting in detail in the next video, but this video is going to be on the prudent, healthy guidelines for all people as well as people living with type 1 diabetes. Number 1, aim to eat at least 5 portions of fruit and vegetables a day. These foods are full of fiber, and fiber really helps to control the blood glucose levels. What fruit and vegetables also do is they protect us against heart disease, against strokes, and against certain cancers. Number 2, at each meal include some starchy, carbohydrate-rich foods like wraps or rice or pasta. These foods should not be seen as bad. If they are whole grain, they provide great fiber and nutrients, and they give us a lot of energy for growth or for activities that we are doing throughout the day. Number 3, to add to that last point, starches should be whole grain pasta, whole grain bread, whole grain wraps. The fiber and the nutrients in these things are vital for a good, healthy digestive system, as well as to help lower the GI of the foods that we are eating, which helps to control the blood sugar. Number 4, protein-rich foods like meat, beans, and eggs are really important as part of the diet. They're good for cell growth and repair, and are also great sources of iron and of zinc. They don't necessarily have a direct effect on the blood glucose, but they do affect the rate of carbohydrate absorption. Number 5, milk and dairy foods are a really important source of energy and of protein and of micronutrients in the diet and should be eaten. We like to choose the low-fat options because that just reduces the amount of saturated fat in the diet, which protects us against heart disease. Remember that dairy products like milk and yogurt do contain carbohydrates, and so they need to be counted when doing a carbohydrate count to calculate the insulin for a specific meal. Number 6, salt. It's very tempting to eat more salty foods when you're living with type 1 diabetes because you are trying to avoid sugar. So we often go for the chips instead of the chocolate. But it is important to remember that too much salt can lead to high blood pressure, which can damage the kidneys. So be very careful when choosing snacks not to have too much salt. Number 7, fatty and sugary foods. These foods like biscuits and pastries and chocolates should not necessarily be excluded from the diet altogether, but they need to be seen as treats and not taken in every day. They do have a very, very powerful effect on blood sugar and on overall health in the long term. So those are the 7 main guidelines for healthy eating for the general population, which are a little bit more important to follow for someone living with type 1 diabetes. What I hope you took home from this video is that number 1, you can eat a variety of foods. There aren't any major restrictions. It's just all about trying to be as healthy as possible. And number 2, that the main thing that's going to affect blood sugar is going to be carbohydrate intake. And we'll cover all of that in the next video. I'll see you there.